I still remember the exact moment my life split into two parts before that night and after it. It started with a message. Not from a stranger, not from an enemy, from my own mother. Come home. We need to talk about your future. I hadn't been home in 3 years. 3 years of silence, of being the difficult daughter, the one who ruined everything. I thought maybe, just maybe, she missed me. I was wrong. When I walked into the house, nothing felt familiar. Same walls, same furniture, but the air felt cold, like I wasn't welcome. My sister was sitting there, smiling. Not a normal smile. The kind of smile you give when you already know something and you're waiting for it to hurt someone else. My father didn't even look at me, just said, "Sit down." No hug, no "how are you?" Nothing. Then my mother placed a file in front of me. Thick, official, heavy. I laughed nervously. "What's this?" She didn't smile. "It's your responsibility." I opened it, and the first line made my chest tighten. Legal guardianship transfer agreement. I blinked. Read it again. Slower this time. Then I saw the name. Not mine, not theirs. A man I had never heard of. Age, 58. Marital status, widower. Condition, requires daily assistance. I looked up. My voice came out weak. "What is this?" My mother didn't hesitate. "You're moving in with him." I thought I misheard. "I'm what?" My sister laughed under her breath. My father finally looked at me, cold, emotionless. "You owe this family." That sentence, it hit harder than anything else. You owe this family. Like I was some kind of debt. Not a daughter, not a person, just something to trade. I stood up. "No, I'm not signing this." Silence. Then my mother leaned forward and said something that made my entire body freeze. "We already signed." I felt the room spinning. "You can't sign for me. I'm an adult." She smiled. A slow, calculated smile. "We didn't sign for you." Pause. "We signed everything that matters." That's when my father slid another paper toward me. Medical records. My name on top. Diagnosis. Something I had never seen before. Something I had never been told. A condition. A mental condition. Declared 2 years ago. By a doctor I had never met. My hands started shaking. "This is fake." My sister whispered. "Prove it." I tried to speak, but nothing came out, because deep down, I already understood. This wasn't sudden. This was planned. For years. "You made me legally unfit?" I whispered. My mother tilted her head. "You were always difficult. We just made it official." Something inside me broke. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly, like something fragile finally giving up. 3 days later, I was in a car, on my way to a house I had never seen, sitting next to a man I didn't know. My new responsibility, my new life. He didn't speak much, just stared out the window. I noticed something strange, though. His hands, they weren't weak. They weren't shaking. This man wasn't helpless. When we arrived, the house was huge. Too huge. Not the kind of place someone dependent lives in. I stepped inside, heart pounding, ready for anything. Then he closed the door behind us, locked it, and said, "Take a breath, you're safe here." I froze. What? He turned toward me, and for the first time, he stood up straight, perfectly straight. No weakness, no struggle. My heart dropped. "You're not sick." He smiled slightly. "No." Silence filled the room. Heavy, confusing, dangerous. Then why am I here? I whispered. He walked closer, slow, calm, like he had all the time in the world. Because, he said quietly, your family needed money. My stomach twisted. So they sold me? He didn't answer directly, which was worse. Then he added something that changed everything, but they didn't know who they were dealing with. I looked at him, confused, scared. What does that mean? He sat down, relaxed, almost amused. They thought I was desperate, weak, easy to control. Pause. They were wrong. My heartbeat started rising again, faster, louder. Then why am I here? I asked again, this time my voice sharper. He looked directly into my eyes and said something that made my entire reality crack again. Because you're the only one who can finish what they started. Silence. What did they start? I whispered. He smiled. Not kind, not cruel, just certain. A lie, he said, big enough to destroy all of them. My breath got stuck in my throat. And you, he continued, are the key. I took a step back, heart racing, mind spinning. Why me? He leaned forward slightly, voice lower now, almost like a secret. Because you're not their daughter. Everything inside me stopped. What? He held my gaze, unblinking. You were never theirs. My knees almost gave out. No, that's not possible. He reached into a drawer, pulled out an envelope, old, worn, sealed. And that, he said, is where your real story begins. My hands trembled as I took it. What is this? He stood up again, walked toward the window. Proof, he said, of who you really are. And why they were so desperate to get rid of you. My heart was pounding so loud I could barely think. Why? I whispered. He didn't turn around. Open it, he said softly. I stared at the envelope. Something inside me was screaming, don't do it, but something deeper, something stronger, wanted the truth, no matter how painful. I slowly broke the seal, and the moment I unfolded the paper inside, my entire world shattered again, because the first line read, Confidential DNA Record. And the name listed as my biological father was someone I had seen before, not in person, not in real life, on the news, on buildings, on contracts worth millions, a man powerful enough to destroy lives without ever touching them. And suddenly, everything made sense. Why my family hated me, why they isolated me, why they were so eager to get rid of me. I wasn't a burden. I was a threat. And the worst part? I had just walked straight into the only place where that truth could either protect me or completely destroy me. And the man standing in front of me knew exactly which one it would be. My hands were still shaking. The paper felt heavier than it should. Like it wasn't just ink and words. It was my entire life collapsing in my hands. I read the name again, slowly, carefully, hoping it would change. It didn't. I whispered it under my breath. And the moment I said it, the man in front of me finally turned around. You recognize it, he said. Not a question. A statement. I swallowed hard. I've seen it everywhere. My voice felt small, like I didn't belong in the same world as that name. He nodded slowly. Of course you have. Pause. He owns half the city you grew up in. My chest tightened. That didn't make sense. Nothing made sense. If he's my father, I said slowly, then why didn't he ever? I couldn't even finish the sentence. Why didn't he come for me? Why didn't he protect me? Why did he let them treat me like I was nothing? The man stepped closer, his voice softer now, almost careful. Because he doesn't know you exist. Silence. Loud, crushing silence. What? I whispered. He nodded once. They made sure of that. My mind started racing. Pieces, memories, small details. Things that never made sense before. Now they were starting to connect. My mom, I said slowly. She always said I was a mistake. He didn't react. Just watched me, letting me figure it out. She never let me ask questions about my birth. Never showed me pictures. Never talked about it. My breathing got heavier, faster. They hid me, I said, more to myself than to him. Yes, he replied quietly. They didn't just hide you.
Pause.
They erased you. That word, erased, it hit deeper than anything else. Because suddenly, all those years of feeling invisible, unwanted, they weren't feelings. They were the truth. I wasn't ignored. I was removed. But why? I asked, my voice breaking now. Why go that far? He walked back to the table, sat down slowly, like this part mattered. Because your existence, he said, was a risk they couldn't control. I shook my head. I don't understand. He leaned forward, eyes locked on mine. Your biological father is not just powerful.
Pause.
He's dangerous. My stomach dropped. The kind of man, he continued, who doesn't forgive betrayal. My heart skipped. What betrayal? I asked. He didn't answer immediately, just reached for another file, thinner this time, but somehow more terrifying. Your mother, he said slowly, wasn't supposed to have you. I felt my throat tighten. She was already married to your father. The room spun again. So I was a secret, he finished for me. I closed my eyes, trying to process it. She had an affair, I whispered. Yes. And when she realized who the man was, she panicked. My chest felt like it was collapsing. So she hid me, I said. He nodded, but hiding wasn't enough. I opened my eyes, fear creeping in. What do you mean? His expression hardened slightly. She needed to make sure that if the truth ever came out, pause, it would destroy you before it destroyed her. I felt cold, every part of me. So she made me legally unstable, I whispered. Yes. My lips trembled. So no one would believe me. So I could never claim anything. So I could never be a threat, he finished quietly. Tears filled my eyes, but they didn't fall. Because this wasn't just pain anymore. This was clarity. A lifetime of confusion, suddenly making sense. They didn't just hate me, I said slowly. They were afraid of me. Yes. Silence filled the room again, but this time it felt different. Heavier, but clearer. I wiped my hands on my jeans, still shaking slightly. Why are you telling me all this? I asked. He leaned back, studying me, because he said, you're about to make a choice. My heart started racing again. What choice? He smiled faintly. You can walk away, forget everything, disappear like they wanted. Pause. Or, His voice dropped slightly, more intense now. You can take everything they tried to bury and turn it into the one thing they can't survive. My breath caught. You want me to expose them? I asked. He shook his head slightly. No, I want you to decide who you are. Silence. Because once you step into this, he continued, there's no going back. My fingers tightened around the paper. And my real father? I asked. Does he? I hesitated. Does he deserve to know? That question hung in the air, heavy, dangerous. He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he walked closer, stopped right in front of me. And that, he said quietly, is the part they're most afraid of. My heart started pounding again. Why? I whispered. Because if he finds out,
Pause.
they don't just lose control. His eyes locked into mine, cold, certain. They lose everything. A chill ran down my spine. Everything. Not just money, not just reputation. Everything. My hands stopped shaking, not because I was calm, but because something inside me was changing for the first time in my life. I wasn't confused. I wasn't weak. I wasn't the girl they could erase. I was the truth they tried to bury. And now, I had the power to decide who gets destroyed first. I looked down at the DNA paper again. Then slowly, very slowly, I folded it and said something I never thought I would say. Tell me everything. The man smiled, but this time, there was no mystery in it. Only certainty. Because in that moment, he knew the girl they tried to erase was about to become their worst mistake. He didn't answer immediately. He just watched me like he was measuring something, not my fear, not my confusion, my limit. Then he nodded once, slow, certain. Good, he said quietly, because what I'm about to tell you
Pause.
changes everything. My heart was already racing, but now it felt different. Not panic, anticipation. He walked past me, opened a drawer, pulled out a small black device. A voice recorder. My chest tightened instantly. What is that? I asked. He placed it on the table, carefully, like it mattered. This, he said, is why your family rushed to get rid of you. My fingers curled slightly. Play it, I whispered. He didn't hesitate. Press the button. Static filled the room. Then a voice. My mother's voice. Clear, cold, calculated. We don't have much time, you understand that, right? My breath stopped. Another voice replied, male, older, nervous. Yes, but if this leaks. It won't. My mother cut him off sharply. Silence for a second. Then she said something that made my entire body go numb. She can't find out who her real father is. My knees felt weak. The recording continued. If she ever reaches him,
Pause.
everything we built is gone. My father's voice came in this time, lower, tense. Then we make sure she never does. A cold chill ran down my spine. How? The other man asked. Silence. Then my mother laughed softly. That same laugh I heard when I walked into the house. Controlled, emotionless. We break her before she even thinks about it. My fingers started shaking again. The recording crackled slightly. And if that's not enough? The man asked. There was a pause. Longer this time. Heavier. Then my mother said something so quietly, so calmly. It was worse than screaming. Then we get rid of her. The room went completely silent. The recording stopped. I couldn't breathe. Not properly. Because that wasn't fear anymore. That was truth. Raw, undeniable truth. I tried to speak, but my voice broke. They planned this. He didn't answer. He didn't need to, because I had heard it with my own ears. My parents had a backup plan. For me, I stepped back slowly, my legs barely holding me up. They were going to. I couldn't say the word. He finished it for me, quietly. Yes. Tears finally fell, but not like before. Not soft, not helpless. They burned, because now I understood something. Something I had never allowed myself to believe. They didn't just hate me. They feared what I could become. And they were ready to destroy me before I ever got the chance. I wiped my face roughly, breathing harder now. Why are you helping me? I asked suddenly. That question had been sitting in the back of my mind from the moment I walked in. He looked at me, longer this time. Then he said something I didn't expect. Because I owe someone a debt. My brows furrowed. Who? He didn't answer directly. Instead, he reached into his pocket, pulled out something small. A ring. My breath caught. I had seen that ring before. Not in real life. In an old photo, hidden in a box my mother once tried to burn. A man wearing it, standing next to her, before I was born. My heart started racing again. That, I whispered. He nodded slowly. He was my brother. Everything inside me froze again. Your brother? Yes. Silence stretched between us. And I struggled to say it. He's dead, he said simply. My chest tightened painfully. How? I asked. His jaw clenched slightly. Officially, he said, an accident.
Pause.
But I've learned that when powerful people are involved, there are no accidents. A heavy silence fell again. You think, I whispered. Yes, he said firmly. I think your family made sure he never spoke. My heart dropped. Why would he speak? I asked. His eyes locked onto mine. Because he knew about you. Everything stopped again. He knew. I whispered. Yes. My breath became uneven. And he was going to tell your father. A sharp pain hit my chest. So they silenced him. The words landed like a weight, crushing, final. And now, he continued, they're trying to do the same to you. I closed my eyes for a second, trying to steady myself, but there was no steady anymore. Only truth, only danger, only choice. I opened my eyes again. What do we do? I asked. This time, there was no hesitation in my voice. No fear. Just decision. He studied me for a moment, then gave a small nod. Now, he said, we stop reacting. Pause. And we start playing. My heartbeat picked up again. Playing what? I asked. His expression shifted, slightly darker now. The same game they've been playing for years. A chill ran down my spine. Control, lies, power. He leaned closer, voice lower, more dangerous, but this time.
Pause.
They don't know the rules have changed. I swallowed slowly. What's the first move? He smiled faintly. Simple. He reached for the recorder again. We let them think they've already won. My eyes widened slightly. You want me to go back? I asked. Yes. My stomach tightened. They'll suspect something. He shook his head. No.
Pause.
They'll expect you to be broken. Silence. And you're going to give them exactly that. A slow breath left my lips. Pretend. Pretend to be weak. Pretend to be controlled. Pretend to be the same girl they thought they destroyed. While everything underneath was changing. What if I can't? I asked quietly. He stepped closer. You can. His voice was firm. Sir, because now you know the truth.
Pause.
And the truth. He looked straight into my eyes. Is the most dangerous weapon you have. My hands slowly stopped shaking. My breathing steadied. And for the first time in my life, I smiled. Not because I was happy, but because I understood something they never expected. They didn't just create a victim. They created someone who had nothing left to lose. And that is the kind of person you should never try to control. I didn't sleep that night, not even for a second. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the wall, replaying everything, every word, every lie, every moment I thought I was the problem. Now I knew I was never the problem. I was the secret. And secrets destroy people. By morning, something inside me had changed completely. The fear was still there, but it wasn't controlling me anymore. It was fueling me. I stood up slowly, looked at myself in the mirror. Same face, same eyes, but not the same girl. Because now, I knew exactly what they were capable of, and I was ready for it. He was already waiting downstairs, calm, composed, like always. You're leaving now, he said. I nodded. No hesitation. He stepped closer, adjusted my sleeve slightly. Remember, he said quietly, they need to believe you're still weak. I held his gaze. They will, I replied. But inside, I already knew the truth. I wasn't going back as their daughter. I was going back as their ending. The house looked exactly the same, but this time, I saw it differently. Not as a home, as a cage. I rang the bell. 3 seconds. That's how long it took for my mother to open the door. Her eyes scanned my face instantly, searching, calculating. Why are you back? She asked sharply. No warmth, no surprise, just suspicion. Perfect. I lowered my gaze slightly, let my shoulders drop. I didn't know where else to go, I said softly. Her expression changed immediately. Not kindness, satisfaction. She stepped aside. Come in. I walked inside slowly. My father was in the living room. He looked up.
Saw me.
And for a split second, I saw something in his eyes. Relief. Then it disappeared. Thought you'd run further than that, he muttered. I stayed quiet. Exactly how they expected. My sister leaned against the wall, smirking. Didn't last long, huh? She said. I didn't respond, because silence was part of the plan. Dinner was quiet, too quiet. They kept watching me,
Testing me.
waiting for something. But I gave them nothing, just small answers, lowered eyes, slow movements, the broken version of me, exactly what they created, exactly what they believed. After dinner, my mother finally spoke. "You'll stay in your old room," she said. I nodded. Then she added something, carefully. "We'll talk about your future tomorrow." My heart didn't even react anymore, because I already knew tomorrow wasn't their move. It was mine. That night, I locked the door quietly, then pulled out my phone, a new phone, untraceable, given to me before I left. My fingers hovered over the screen. Then I typed one message. "I'm inside." Sent. 3 dots appeared instantly. Then his reply. "Good. Now listen carefully." My heartbeat slowed, focused. "Your mother keeps everything in one place. Documents, accounts, backups." I looked around the room. "Where?" I typed. His reply came immediately. "Not where you think." A pause. "Look behind the mirror." My breath caught slightly. The mirror, the same mirror I had stared into for years. I walked toward it slowly. My reflection stared back. But now, I wasn't looking at myself. I was looking at a secret. My fingers touched the edge. Something felt off. A slight gap. I pressed harder. Click. The mirror shifted slightly. My heart started pounding again. I pulled it open and froze. Stacks of files, USB drives, envelopes, everything they had hidden was right there, right behind the place I looked at myself every day. A twisted irony. I grabbed one file, opened it quickly. Bank statements, large amounts, transfers, names I didn't recognize. Then another file, legal documents, fake reports, my name again, more lies, more control. Then I saw something that made my breath stop. A folder marked with a single word, insurance. My fingers hesitated. Then I opened it, and the moment I read the first line, my entire body went cold. Because it wasn't insurance. It was a contract, a payout, in case of my death. My mother's name listed as the primary beneficiary. A massive amount, enough to explain everything. Enough to explain why they were never afraid of losing me. Because to them, I was worth more, gone, than alive. My hands clenched tightly, not shaking anymore, just steady, because now there was no doubt left, no confusion, no hesitation. They didn't just plan to break me, they planned to profit from me. I took a slow breath, then typed one message. "You were right." 3 dots appeared again. "What did you find?" I stared at the folder one more time, then replied, "Everything." Silence for a moment. Then his message came, "Good. Because tomorrow."
Pause.
"We destroy them." I looked at my reflection again, but this time, I didn't see the girl they controlled. I saw someone they would never recognize. Someone they could never stop. And the scariest part? They were sleeping peacefully, in the same house, with the person who was about to end everything they built. I didn't sleep, not even a second. I sat on the floor, back against the bed, the folder still in my hands. Every page I had seen, every word, every number, burned into my mind. They didn't just betray me. They calculated me, planned me, priced me, and now I knew exactly how much I was worth to them. Dead. By morning, the house felt different. Not quiet. Careless, like predators who think the hunt is already over. My mother was in the kitchen, pouring tea. Come composed. Sit, she said without looking at me. I obeyed, slow, silent. My father joined a moment later, reading something on his phone. My sister leaned against the counter, watching me like always, waiting. My mother finally spoke. We've made arrangements. I lowered my eyes slightly, playing my role perfectly. You'll go back today, she continued. Back.
To him.
To the man they thought owned me. I nodded slowly. I understand, I said softly. She studied my face, looking for resistance. She didn't find any, because I gave her exactly what she wanted. Submission. But inside, everything was already set. Good, she said, satisfied. Then she added, almost casually, and this time behave. I almost smiled. Almost. An hour later, I was back in the car, but this time, I wasn't being taken somewhere. I was taking something with me. The truth. And the truth was about to ruin them. When we reached the house, he was already waiting. He looked at me once and knew. You found it, he said. I nodded. They had a contract. I said quietly, a payout if I die. His jaw tightened slightly. Of course they did. Silence. Then I placed the folder on the table. All of it is here. He opened it, flipped through quickly, then looked up at me. This is enough, he said. Enough for what? I asked. He held my gaze. To end them. Everything moved fast after that. Calls, documents, names I didn't know, faces I had never seen, but all connected to one man, my real father. I didn't meet him immediately.
No.
First, he saw me through files, through proof, through truth. And when he did, everything changed. Because powerful men don't ignore evidence. They eliminate problems or protect what's theirs. And for the first time in my life, I was his. The meeting happened 2 days later. A private office, top floor, glass walls, silent guards. I walked in slowly, and there he was, the man from the news, the man from the contracts, the man whose name had shaped my entire life. He looked at me, not like a stranger, not like a mistake, but like someone trying to see everything he had missed. He started, then stopped, because he didn't need to finish it. I nodded slightly. Yes. Silence filled the room. Heavy, but not cold.
Different.
Then he asked something I didn't expect. Did they hurt you? My chest tightened, not because of the question, but because of how he asked it. Carefully, like the answer mattered. I held his gaze. Yes, I said simply. Something in his expression changed instantly. Not anger. Something deeper. Controlled, dangerous. Then he nodded once. Sit, he said.
I did.
And then he read everything. Every file. Every lie. Every plan. The room stayed silent the entire time, until he reached the contract. The one about my death. His hand stopped, just for a second. Then he closed the file, slowly, and when he looked up, I understood something immediately. My family didn't just lose control. They had just made the biggest mistake of their lives. Everything that followed was quiet. No shouting, no confrontation, just consequences. Accounts frozen, investigations opened, names exposed, and then, the moment they never expected, a knock on their door, not from me, from people they couldn't control. I didn't go back to that house. I didn't need to, because I already knew. They were no longer the ones in control. 3 days later, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Silence for a second. Then my mother's voice. But it wasn't calm anymore. It wasn't controlled. It was shaking. "What did you do?" she whispered. I leaned back slightly. For the first time, I didn't feel small. I told the truth. I said. Her breathing got heavier. "You've destroyed us," she said. I closed my eyes for a moment, then opened them again. "No," I replied quietly. "You destroyed yourselves." Silence. Then the line cut. A week later, everything was over. Their power, their lies, their control, gone, just like that. And me? I wasn't erased anymore. I wasn't hidden. I wasn't a mistake. I was the truth, the one thing they tried to bury, the one thing they feared the most. And in the end, I didn't destroy them. I just existed. And that was enough.